I've long advocated the absolute shutdown of these legal menaces. Fake courts run by fake judges, enforcing fake rights for fake victims, going after real money, though. The process is the punishment. See, complainers don't have to pay for lawyers. They don't have to pay the costs of the matter if they lose, unlike in a real court. They just make a complaint and then they'll walk away with 10 grand, no matter what. But I'm happy to say that some news comes from Manitoba that they're at least pruning their weed. Not weeding it out by the root, but pruning it. Here's the story. Manitoba Human Rights Commission awards for damage to be capped bill. Let me read it. The Manitoba government has introduced legislation that would cap the amount of money the province's Human Rights Commission can award. Justice Minister Cliff Cullen said the proposed change would speed up the process to get decisions. Right now, we have a 3.5 to 4 year wait for hearings, he said Tuesday. So when someone submits a claim, it takes up to 4 years to get it done. This legislation allows to expedite the process. Like I say, the process is the punishment. Imagine 3.5 years in a kangaroo court to have your hurt feelings adjudicated. I suppose that's good for the complainer, and it's good for the lawyers and the bureaucrats at the Human Rights Commission, but it's not good for anyone else. Let me read some more. The bill calls for a $25,000 limit on damages for injury to dignity, feelings or self-respect stemming from a human rights complaint. Currently, there is no limit. It would also allow the Commission's executive director to dismiss complaints that are being addressed in another forum, introduce time limits, and give authority to adjudicators to mediate complaints. Imagine that. That's shocking to me. The people right now can sue in a real court, but then sue for the exact thing, go for a top-up at this kangaroo court, just for kicks. That's called double jeopardy in most normal places. I should state the obvious. Both the Liberals and NDP in Manitoba oppose these minor changes. In fact, it's a bit of a miracle that the Conservative government there even dared to introduce this bill. I won't be surprised if they lose their nerve after a few squawking editorials by the hard left-wing Winnipeg Free Press, which is now getting huge bailout money from Justin Trudeau, who just loves these human rights commissions. The bill isn't too long. It's 15 pages, most of which is just technical changes. There's only a few real changes. Let me read some of them to you. Here's one. The law now requires the chief bureaucrat of the Human Rights Commission to investigate a complaint and to do so reasonably quickly. Can you believe it? That's new. And look at this. The complaint can be thrown out now if it's crazy. That's new. It had to be proceeded with before. Let me read. Dismissal of complaint without investigation. The executive director may dismiss a complaint or part of a complaint without causing it to be investigated if the executive director is of the opinion that it is frivolous or vexatious. The acts or omissions described in it do not contravene this code. It is not within the jurisdiction provided by this code. Its subject matter is being or has been dealt with appropriately according to a procedure provided for under another act, or additional proceedings in respect of it would not benefit the person against whom this code is alleged to have been contravened. So I call this the Yaniv Amendment. That last point is interesting. It means you can't go in to these human rights commissions as some sort of busybody claiming you're a white knight championing some other person who is discriminated against. You have to have a claim yourself or get out. So the commission can throw out junk complaints even before investigating them if they're ridiculous on the face of it. But here's another innovation. After they investigate them, and if they are found to be junk, they must throw them out. That word must is in there. Dismissal of complaint after investigation. 29.1. Following the completion of the investigation into a complaint, the executive director must dismiss the complaint or a part of the complaint if the executive director is satisfied that A, it is frivolous or vexatious, B, the acts or omissions described in it do not contravene this code, and the rest of the list is the same before. Can you believe this wasn't in there before? So the Human Rights Commission may throw out junk complaints without even investigating them if it's so obvious. And if they investigate them and confirm that they are junk, they must throw them out. I can't even believe that's new. I told you how these things dragged on for years. So there's some new timing rules. Here's one. Time period for commencing hearing. The hearing must be commenced within 120 days after the day the adjudicator is appointed, unless the adjudicator extends the time period at the request of a party. So it's still fairly loosey-goosey, but some hint at a limit. Here's another one. Time limit for making decision, 41.1. Subject to section 2, the adjudicator must make a final decision respecting the complaint within 60 days after the day the hearing is completed. Yeah, get off your duffs, you lazy bureaucrats. They're not real judges. They're often not even real lawyers. They're pretend judges in a pretend court, and they like to take their time because they need to justify their budgets. But here's the most important part. Maximum damages for injury, 43.2.1. The amount of damages for injury to dignity, feelings, or self-respect ordered by an adjudicator under Clause 2C must not exceed $25,000 and must be proportionate to the seriousness of the contravention and its effects on the party. 25 grand for hurt feelings? That is still an extreme amount of money for hurt feelings. Our reporters here at Rebel often get physically punched, and so we sue them in a real court, like we sued Dion Buse, the thug who hit Sheila Gunn Reid in the face. We went all the way to trial using our own money. We spent over 30 grand. And Sheila, in the end, was awarded, I think it was $3,500, $3,500 for being punched in the face. So Manitoba will still allow hurt feelings to be paid $25,000. That's a shockingly high amount of money for a fake feelings crime. But right now, before these changes are implemented, it's literally unlimited. Just the other day, someone in Manitoba was awarded $75,000 for hurt feelings. What a bonanza. No wonder these human rights commissions are popular with malingerers and liars and losers and fakers. No real court would ever give you that. No real human rights advocate would regard hurt feelings as a human right. You don't have the right to feel good, and you don't have the right to make others feel a certain way either. The law in Manitoba still permits a shakedown, even after this bill is passed. It's just a slightly smaller shakedown. This is a baby step forward. Like I say, I'll believe it's the law when it's actually passed. The Manitoba PCs have a habit of caving in. I hope they actually go through with this modest bill. But even if they do pass it, why are you just pruning a weed instead of pulling it out by the roots? That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.